Hello, friends. Hello. We are back with another live stream. I am Rachel Archelaus. This is Carrie Roldan. And today we're going to talk about a very easy to fall into trap of being stressed. I was just on an intimate alien call with my group, and the same thing came up for us that came up on Carrie's mastermind Tuesday, which is that right now there's so much going on in the world that we think we should be a part of, that we think we need to really keep our eyes on, which I've been the same way, but it could be could be harming us. So that's what we're going to talk about. I did some intuitive art drawings today just to see what is the path forward for me to be healthier, because I've been dealing with some health challenges this year, which is so rare for me. I'm usually really healthy. I got COVID once, sure. I get a cold once every 6 years, but for the most part, even my chronic illness is pretty much under control. So it's been a really strange 3 months for me. And the one thing that I know I can do is manage how I feel, right? I can manage how I feel a lot better than I've been doing in the past few months. And so I am dedicated to going stress-free as much as I can. I am luckily in a position where if I choose to do that, there's no objective reason why I should be stressed, which is a wonderful privilege to have. So why am I not stressed? We'll maybe get into it, maybe not, but what can we do to have less stress in our lives? That is really why we're here. So raise your hand. Let me know in the chat, what level of stress are you usually? So usually I would say I'm at a 3, I would say. And that's being really generous, because I totally underestimate my stress all the time. I think we all do. But when I'm feeling good, flying high, even then, I'm probably at a 3, just because, I'm worried about my pets and all kinds of other little things that we don't even realize. I would say, though, for the past month, 2 months, it's probably been more like a 5 or a 6, which is not where I want to be. And when we do get stressed, I know it compounds. Once you're a little bit stressed, it's easier to get more stressed and more stressed. So anyway, this is my very long intro. How you doing, Carrie?
Well, I'm doing great, actually. I woke up feeling amazing today and not stressed at all. However, I can relate to everything that you're talking about. And interestingly enough, sometimes I will stress because I'm not stressed, and I feel like I should feel some stress. So I'm with you. You said something that I wrote down, though, and I remember the intimate alien said it or something similar to it early today, which is, I think, important for us in the scheme of today's conversation, which is that when I am focusing on things that don't feel good in my body, right? Like things that are stressing me out, when I'm worrying, when I'm obsessing over things that I feel like are causing me stress, I don't have that much distinction between stress and worry in my vocabulary, by the way. Like, to me, they're pretty similar. But anyways, when you're focusing there, you're doing harm. And that was a helpful reminder for me. Like, okay, I have heard oh, stress can cause health problems or whatever. I've also seen a whole TED talk on how stress is actually great for you. So, you can find perspective anywhere. But that hit me in a good way. A lot of us, I think, believe that feeling stress is somehow proactive. And so recognizing no, when you're feeling stress, you're doing harm. I don't know, that was really helpful for me to hear. And I'm also wanted to acknowledge Guillaume. He says he's been stressed all of his life since the day he was born. So he came out furrowed brow, worried and stressed.
Yeah, I mean, and if you grow up in an environment that is stressful, that could be true for you. We know that children who grow up in less than ideal conditions have a trauma brain. Like they've named that because their brain gets so wired to be on edge. You know, if you grow up neurodivergent, you are more sensitive to your surroundings and you are therefore more on edge than a typical person would be. And so much so that you don't even realize it, right? That's why I gave myself that higher rating of even when I'm like amazing, feeling great, I'm probably still like a 2 or a 3 because I have a hard time identifying my stress feeling. It's kind of like what Eckhart Tolle was talking about the pain body as well, about this just general unconscious pain body that we tap into in different ways. We don't even know that we're doing that. It's so automatic. Because if you think about it, how do you feel on a day-to-day basis? And what is the most relaxed you've ever felt? Are you feeling the most relaxed, the most carefree, the most surrendered that you've ever felt on a daily basis? Hell no. We are not. I am not, right? And I am all about alignment, right? So if we think of it in terms of that, in like, okay, this is the most comfortable, relaxed, surrendered place I've ever felt, to what am I actually feeling on a day-to-day basis, we can gauge honestly, what am I like? How am I clenching? How am I constricting myself regularly? So that can be a really helpful marker for manifestation too, because how we feel is what we're creating more of. And that is really why I've tied this to my health, right? So there are more things I can do to relax and de-stress. An intimate alien was saying to me yesterday, she's like, it's not just about doing what you love. It's about thinking only what you love and feeling only what you love. It's more than just how you act. It is all of it. And so that can feel like you're turning your back on a lot of important things. And so we can talk about that too, if you want.
Well, let's go back 1 second. So, well, actually, I've already lost the plot. So, what's our promise of today's conversation?
How to commit to being stress-free.
Okay. I can deal with that. And also, I just want to acknowledge or ask, is this triggering? Is the idea of not having stress causing you to feel stress? Right? I'm thinking about my daughter in this moment, and she's got a bit of a stress addiction, right? Or anxiety, where it's like, if I let go of stress, what would happen, right? If I didn't worry about it, my life might go to shit, right? So first of all, like, just how comfortable are you with the idea that you could be stress-free?
And I've been there.
Same way.
I think I've told that story. So I grew up in Connecticut, which is right next to New York, which is all about hustle and bustle and doing and, being really productive. And when I was in my early 20s, I started a publishing company, and I decided to do this worldwide anthology of poems about the afterlife. And so I basically had 2 full-time jobs. I was go, go, go. The person I was seeing at the time said that I was 2 people, because that's like how much work I had to do every day. And I thought the only way to keep on top of all of that was to be stressed. And yeah, I was going to go visit my friend in Austin, Texas, which is like the most laid back place in the entire world. And I was like, how's this going to work? I'm not going to get anything done. I have all this work to do. But you know what? I got there. I sat in, a nice Adirondack chair out in the sunshine, and I got my work done. And it was easier because I was less stressed. So, yeah, like sometimes we just have to show ourselves that we can accomplish things without stress. So I totally relate to that.
Well, and just the idea that you said this earlier, you said how it feels is what we're creating more of.
Mm-hmm.
I think so many of us have this idea that if I just stress myself out a lot right now and buckle down, right? If I just like get through this period of stress, then everything will be relaxed on the other side of it.
Mm-hmm.
And well, I think sometimes that can be true. Like I have a good friend who like really packs in a lot of work right before she goes on vacation. Right. So she's like, I'll power through. She's a little bit stressed out before she's going on vacation. But she likes the idea of knowing that it's all done when she leaves so that she doesn't have like the mental loops in her head. Right. So I can sort of see a little bit of that. Like, okay, I'll power through so I can relax. But I feel like I sure know a whole lot of people who live their life saying, I just have to get through the next thing. I just have to get through the next thing. And there's always a next thing because how we feel is what we're creating more of. So I guess I just wanted to start by acknowledging it can be scary to let go of a pattern of the idea that stress helps me feel in control of my life, or my life would be, if I didn't worry about it, everything would fall to pieces. Having said that, I can remember a time when I lived with a baseline level of anxiety that was pretty freaking high. I was probably at like a baseline of 8 every single day.
Wow.
Like woke up, pit in my stomach, stressed, even though I didn't have a lot to be stressed about.
Mm-hmm.
And so the how, right? Today's about how to feel less stress, right? I mean, maybe we could, I don't even remember. I know a lot of things that I did, right? But I think it started with a willingness to be less stressed. Like a willingness to be okay in the present moment.
Yeah. And knowing that you don't need it to survive. The stress isn't what is getting you ahead. Yeah. I mean, just to put the caveat in there, because there's no absolutes, like what you were saying in the beginning and what I said in my email, is some stress is great, right? We're stressing our bodies to gain fitness, right? Like once in a while, we're up against a deadline and that's helping motivate us to get something done, right? Like that vacation. I'm not talking about all stress is bad, but we know what we're, the stress that's unnecessary, the stress that we have in an everyday situation that's in the background hanging on, or that we're growing by looking at things we don't like. That's the kind of stress that I'm doing away with, which is a grand idea, right? Probably isn't going to happen 100%, but I'm definitely, I'm on getting on the train, right? I'm getting on the train.
So what's your strategy?
Well, before consulting my intuitive art, my experience tells me to do more of the things that bring me into alignment and that are relaxing and that I enjoy, right? So if looking at things that I don't like is bringing me stress, doing and looking at the things I do like will bring me less stress. So meditating, being outside, going camping, going hiking, reading, things that are enjoyable, that kind of thing. And then I did 2 drawings, and the first one I focused directly on my health. And this is basically how do I heal my health? And the top line here is joy, which excellent, right? That's even more than doing things that are relaxing. That's doing like joy. Joy is a high vibe, and it's high in the drawing. And then underneath all of this blue is alignment. And then on top is like a sagey green, which is like intuitive creativity. And it's, you know, it's very flowing. It's up and down. It's pretty much how I live. And so this is like be natural, be aligned, be creative, but focus on your joy. Excellent, excellent advice. And then I specifically asked, how do I live stress-free? And it's, again, more alignment in that, you know, undulating in and out kind of pattern. But in the middle is what my brain gave me for my experience. This is a strategy color. And it's over and over and over and over. And so every single day and every moment, choosing how to live stress-free, right? What, in this moment, what is the best strategy to be stress-free? Is it to watch the funny video, go for a walk, call someone I love, meditate, right? So being present in the moment, in alignment, will give me what I need. I love intuitive art. Go check it out, intuitiveart.com.
Well, it made me yawn. I think what made me ask the question, how do you know, Rachel? So choose to live stress-free, right? That's your answer. And you're like, so in this moment, what would make me feel better? What would make me feel less stressed? How do you know when what you are choosing would actually make you feel less stressed, and when what you are choosing is an avoidant behavior that actually makes your stress like amplify? I'm asking for a friend, maybe.
So that's what I'm sort of talking about, that it's in the background, right? If there is a lot of stress in the background and you're doing things to de-stress, it is avoiding it because you want to avoid it. You want to rewrite your patterns in a stress-free way, which means avoiding stress, right? But your alignment, this is not just strategy. This is alignment strategy, and the alignment delivers you the solution to the stress. The joy delivers you the solution to the stress, right? So I was going to open to the page, but it was sticky. So if we're in alignment, if we're feeling good, if we're connected to our higher self, if we're following our intuitive guidance, then the solution comes to eradicate the problem, which is why this is my health journey, right? I am talking to doctors, don't worry, but like the body is so complex. This is another reason I'm just going to talk about this. This is not medical advice, but my particular case is really interesting. So I grew up not knowing I had celiac disease and a wheat allergy. And that presented a lot of problems in my life. And so finally figured it out when I was like 19. And okay, great. Don't eat gluten. I've had a couple weird things of like being glutened in between then, of course, because it's in everything. But for the most part, not a big deal. Now that I'm in perimenopause, which is brought on early because of celiac, which I'm figuring out now, there's an interaction between what usually happens or what can happen in perimenopause, which is unexplained, spontaneous food intolerances, weird hormonal shifting happening, and celiac, which is like a very weird mixture causing me to get very ill, it seems, every single month. And I don't like it. I don't like it at all. But it's not just you're you can't eat that and that's the solution, or you can't eat, that at that time and that's the solution. It's turning out to be very like a wild goose chase, because the body is so complex. It is so like, is it the hormones? Is it the food? Is it the celiac? Is it the it's like, you can't really pin it down to one thing. And that is why I like to take an energetic approach to everything, because if you can, for me, my belief system is that everything is on this energetic trickle down. So our vibration, how we feel, creates our emotions, it creates our thoughts, and it creates our physical experience. And so if I can get ahead of this vibrationally, then my body will go back to normal working order. And so that's just always how I've approached things. Things have gone away for me quite easily in the past, and it's just always worked out. So that is why I'm taking the physical approach and the energetic approach here, not ignoring my health, but like, I just see there's so many instances as well of just people getting better all of a sudden, people having like weird diagnoses that aren't true and that clear up. Like, there's exceptions to everything. And if there's exceptions to everything, then there's got to be a different explanation for why things happen.
That got me excited thinking about, because if we're going to relate this all to like stress, and when I know there's all different kinds of stress, right? There's like physical stress, but like I'm talking about like kind of the mental gymnastics of stress. Like women in menopause, right? Everybody wants to lose weight, at least for the majority of people, or they want to have more energy, or they want to digest better, right? There's like some weird stuff that is happening at this phase of our lives. And what we have been trained to do, right, which is just restrict more, work harder, right, exercise more, like all of the advice now is like, hey, stop doing that. Stop doing what you thought worked and relax instead, right? Like, how do you balance your hormones? You meditate, you get control of your you regulate your nervous system. But there's all of the stuff that they're saying to do in this stage of our life is like the stuff we probably should have been doing all along, and I think that's the message here, is like the idea that you're going to feel better once you sort of stress the hell out and like worry, and then like it doesn't work. It doesn't work. And what works for me is to just recognize, in this moment I am fine. In this moment I'm okay. And I've seen like, not infographics, but like cartoon type situations about past, present, future, right? And recognizing like we feel stressed out when we're carrying around the past, we're trying to be in the present, and we're also like carrying around the future. But once I can leave the past behind and for the most part put the future down, right? And just like be here, I feel a lot less stressed. And so what does that look like? A couple deep breaths. I have radical self-acceptance is really, really helpful, but actually radical acceptance of other people has been like a game changer for me. Like recognizing like I don't need to stress about this because I cannot control what they do. Like, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time on hypotheticals or on, because that's not great for my nervous system anyway. Like it actually feels better to be like, whatever with them. Like I'm okay right now. And so I guess if we're talking about avoidant behavior all the way back to that conversation, like I'm avoiding all the hypotheticals and just letting life play out.
Mm-hmm.
choosing my own vibration, that has been really, really helpful in de-stressing. Focusing on what I can control, which is very little.
Right. Well, it's you.
Yes.
That's it. Yeah.
And
which is enough.
What's that?
Like, it's enough. Like, you are a big dynamic being. Like, that's enough to keep you busy.
Well, and focusing on like, okay, how would I like to choose to look at this? Right? Like, okay, I could choose to see it as doom and gloom and everything's going to go to hell. Or I could choose to be like, well, this isn't maybe what I was expecting or what I thought would happen, but I'm going to choose to believe that it's one step closer to where I want to be, right? Or I'm going to choose to believe that this is going to work itself out, right? Like, one of those feels so much better than the other. So I'm going to choose the one that feels better.
Yeah, and that's all there is to it. Just choose what feels better. Like, we are a broken record. I've been teaching this for over a decade, right? Choose what feels better. And that's really all that there is. And there are times when things will take our attention away from that in life, whether it's family members or politics or whatever. And, for a little while in the beginning, it might feel interesting. You might feel like, ooh, I'm learning about the world, and that's good. But there might come a point where it doesn't feel good anymore. And then you need to really know, like, do I want to do something detrimental to myself, or can I see it another way and feel good still looking at it? Or do I need to withdraw? Right. And so you just do whatever you need to do for you and let your example be one of alignment. And that is adding a lot of good to the world. And hello, Van Vita Travels. Nice to have you here.
And let your example be one of alignment. I needed to hear that today, so thank you.
You're welcome. All right, my friends. Well, let us know if you're coming up with your own stress-free strategy. And if you do your own intuitive art about it, we'd love to see it in our Facebook group. And thank you for being here. We'll see you next week. And we'd love you. Bye.
Bye, guys. Thanks for being here.